feel free to fire some off. I guess raise your hands. I don't know how this works.
Give me a second. I'll unmute everybody, and then it'll just go through the regular process.
Okay. Oh, okay. Hi, Dad. You have a question? Or
No,
Mom?
just some things you said concerning the backpack. I retired my old backpack and did get a backpack with the hip support that you showed, and it does take about 50% of the weight off your back. So it is, if you're going to invest in one, I recommend it. And because I'm usually in the woods 2.5 miles in, it makes a big difference. And also, I don't have a Ranger, whatever it is. Rangefinder. I suggest if you don't want to invest in one and you're hunting the same blind, ground blind or whatever, I mark the trees early in the season. I spray paint the trees, 1 dot 10 yards, 2 dots 20 yards, and that's about it for me. Sorry about that, but anyway.
Well, and that's a good point. I don't know that all of our feet are 1 foot in length.
I bring a ruler.
So...
I bring a ruler too sometimes.
Okay.
All right, yeah. My foot in the boot happens to be, to her point, exactly 1 foot. But anyway.
There you go. Thanks, Dad.
No problem. I'll see how it works on your butt later. But anyway, no, I'm
Thanks.
just kidding.
Boot and butt. Got it. All right. Glad we live in separate places now.
And also, if you want to lighten the load, bow hunting, I've never had a reason I had a pair of binoculars with me, to her point. Once I'm out rifle hunting, I could be out, looking out a couple 100 yards, but in the woods that we deal with a lot in New York, no need for binoculars for me. That's all I got.
Okay. Mom, did you have any questions?
I don't have a question. I just want to say that I think this is great that you pulled this together and that you're doing this, because this is awesome. No, it really is. So
thanks,
I
Torin.
applaud you.
Thanks, Torin, for breaking my arm.
As the proud mother who talks about you as vegetarian gone hunter.
Yes, that was my life, unfortunately. Listen, if you have a vegetarian in your life, they're not a lost cause.
Absolutely not. No, I thought the coolest thing was when Sammy used to be a vegetarian and then she tasted venison for the first time and said, this is really good. Maybe I'll go back to eating meat, but only if I kill it myself. So that was kind of the beginnings. So I applaud you. Anything else?
I don't know. You guys could probably mute yourselves again.
No question.
I have a couple questions if you're willing.
Oh, okay, Emily.
I think first and foremost, are you able to link all the products you talked about, like this backpack, your dead downwind wipes, your phase, because I keep hearing you talk about phase and I've never actually used it, and the cooks. Is there a way for you to link this somehow, on social media or something? I don't know if that's more of a question for Torin or you, or is there a way for everybody in the webinar to see these products? Food for thought.
Yeah,
if not,
so Sammy, if you get me the list,
Okay.
I can put together a list and links for all the products you described, and then I'll send out an email to all the ladies in the webinar.
okay, because I was keeping a list over here too on the side. I have lists. And I guess one of my other questions was, you talked about dragging and all those techniques and those scents. Is there a preference? Do you use more foodie scents, more earthy scents? What is your happy preference for things?
So I'm really glad you said that.
Or more, is there a time to use
yes.
one over the other? Okay.
So that's kind of where I was just gonna go. Really early in the season, when our season starts October 1st. Does don't start to come into estrus until usually really late really, really late October, early November, mid-November, that in that range. So before that's really happening, I will stick to a lot of the food scents, partially because some of the bucks are trying to kind of bulk up before the season. They don't really realize they're doing it. Their bodies are just saying like, okay, eat more now because you're about to be chasing tail and not caring about anything else but does and heat for the next couple months, and you're gonna need your strength. And does always want to eat. So that time of year, I'm definitely more gravitating towards some of the food scents. I will start with more dominant buck scents around the time I told you that I'll start maybe like tickling the antlers together, like 3 to 4 weeks into the season, because that's the time where that competition is starting to fire up. So those dominant buck scents are going to be a little bit more prevalent, more useful. Come full swing November, we're using the doe and estrus. One thing that I have noticed with the doe and estrus scents is that does don't like it. I have had full groups of does come in, sniff the ground where I've sprayed doe and estrus, and run right around. It's unfortunately it happens. So if you want to have the bucks come in, yes, they gravitate towards and are attracted to the doe and estrus scents. Some people will talk about using like a live decoy in that sense, like during the rut, letting the does walk because the bucks will follow. But a lot of the time the does don't like the doe and estrus scent. So I'm sometimes conflicted and sometimes torn about wanting to use that at any given point in the season. And that's partially because I'm still at a point in my stages of being a hunter where it is about filling the freezer for me. It is about knowing where my food came from. It is about I don't care so much about putting my hands on a buck's rack, more so than I care about knowing that I get to eat for a whole year, and something that I put the time and effort into and that I made happen. I get just as jacked up and just as excited about a trophy doe as I do about a buck in the woods. So Emily, I thank you for that question. That was a very, very good one. Anybody else?
So I have a question.
Hi, Megan.
Hey, you did awesome, by the way.
Thank you.
So hunting is completely new to me. I have nobody in my inner circle that hunts. So this is something that I'm doing 100% on my own. So the basics are definitely what I need to learn, but also scouting. So because I don't have anybody in my inner circle, that also means I have no connections to private land. So I will be doing public land. I have no idea where to start when it comes to scouting. So I feel like my first year really needs to be just getting out there and getting in the woods and learning that aspect of it. But I don't know where to begin. So is there any future plans of maybe having a webinar that's dedicated to scouting?
Absolutely. Torrin and I were actually just talking about that today. Kind of, again, just wanting this to be a little bit of this is the stuff that goes into it and some of the application. But we do plan on probably having something related to scouting. Onyx Hunt actually does have an e-scouting feature on it. I'm so glad you guys, I'm seeing some, I agree about future scouting things. Yes. Okay, cool. Awesome. But yeah, Onyx Hunt does have an e-scouting feature. You are going to be doing a lot of this from what it sounds like on public land this year. that is definitely something for you to look into, as well as like reading topography, like
Mhm.
literally like the lay of the land, like knowing, because you're not going to want to put a tree stand like on top of a ridge or something like that. Also some things to look into with public land, definitely locks for tree stands if you plan on leaving them. More mobile hunting methods, like a climber, or a lot of people are I guess bringing back saddle hunting. They're a lot ballsier than me. I like to be able to know that I'm sitting on something like kind of stable that's not going to go anywhere. But yeah, I mean, you're right. Putting in the work, putting the miles in, knowing what to look for is important. I'm known as the poop finder. Like when we're in the woods, it's always me. I don't know why. Like my partner could be looking for like other things like up ahead, like he's down there, and I'm just like, oh look, that's buck poop. Like, and I guess I can kind of talk about that a little bit. For starters, doe scat and buck scat look entirely different. Does, it's going to be like in oversized like rabbit pellets. Buck poop is a little bit more conglomerated, and it's not going to have any hair or bone in it the way a predator would. So it's kind of like just a quick way to differentiate. It's also not going to be as narrow. So it's like literally just kind of like a glob of that looks like all of those kind of conglomerated little pellets kind of together is the best way to describe that. We'll definitely do a scouting thing with pictures. But thank you for that, Megan. That was a great question.
Thank you.
Ooh, okay, I have a question in the chat, I think. Okay, that is a wonderful question. Oh wait, hold on. There's, okay, future webinar, scouting. Yes, ooh, maybe getting the Onyx Hunt membership. That would be cool. Oh, Heather really likes the DSG drop seat. Awesome. Okay, so Chris asked, jumping in and out of the webinar, I'm still at work. I apologize if this was answered already. What is the draw weight I should be comfortably able to shoot in order to ethically shoot a deer, doe versus buck? Is there a difference? Okay, so I will tell you that in New York State, legally, you only need to be able to draw 35 pounds. And now that is 35 pounds back, but most bows have about 80% let off. So I'm no mathematician, but you're probably only holding, I don't know what that is. Can someone, what's
28.
8? What?
28.
With 80% let off if you're shooting. So that's 7 pounds. So you're only holding, thank you. That was a roundabout way. You're holding 7 pounds back here if you are pulling 35 pounds. It all comes down to your setup. And again, this might be a great topic for a future, for future webinars about what you should be looking for as far as a setup for your bow. My first 2 years, actually, my first 2 seasons out with a bow, I was pulling 42 pounds and getting pass-throughs on mature deer. It all comes down to your arrow weight, what broadheads you're shooting, some certain mechanical things on your bow, which we'll definitely get into. But in New York State, you only need to pull 35 pounds. Currently, my bow is set at about 50. But that is because I wanted to be able to shoot heavier arrows and heavier grain broadheads. Wasp, a broadhead company that we are affiliated with, started making Havalon blades, which are the same blades on the Peranta, the orange knife that I held up before and have now misplaced. Oh, there it is. Yes, it folds into a nice cute case too. It's really functional. But they make the same blades as they put on the Ferranta, and nothing matches the surgical precision of Havilon, in my opinion. So I'll definitely be linking this to you guys. But like I said, it all comes down to your setup. You can kill deer at 35 pounds. I have seen grown men who are shooting 70-pound draw not have pass-throughs on deer, or are uncomfortable and upset with the penetration that they're getting on animals, and it all comes down to your setup. So that was a great question. Very long-winded response, and I do apologize. I'm very caffeinated right now. What else you guys got?
Back to the glove, the like half arm orange gloves that you use. We all have hair ties, so a way to kind of keep them up is just like slide your hair tie over the glove up on your arm. That kind of pins it to your elbow a little bit better, so it doesn't
Okay.
slide down.
Yeah, would that also work for the because it's like the white surgical gloves on the inside? Do you think they would also hold?
Yeah,
that as
yeah.
well?
Like I use that for anything, just to kind of make like a cinch point. I mean, we all have hair ties on us, let's be real. So
I
that's
just
kind of
play
just,
with mine.
yeah, that's just kind of an easy way to kind of keep them a little bit up. What about, I know it's a little off topic, but bow recommendations. It seems like we've had a lot of female bows hit the market this year. So what can you recommend with that? We've had 3 major ones hit. Is there any upside to one, downside to one?
Again, personal preference. A lot of people do tend to have brand loyalty with bows once they figure out what works for them and what they like. Personally, I felt the draw cycle on a Matthews Prima, and it was really hard for me to walk out of the shop without one. I currently shoot the Avail, and they don't make that anymore. There's a lot of factors that come into play with bow selection. First of which is comfort. It has to feel good in your hand. If it doesn't feel good in your hand, it's not going to feel good drawing it. Different bow companies utilize different types of grips, and I really can't speak to the specifics there. But I will say, please go to a pro shop and get measured professionally in regards to your draw length. A lot of those box bow setups that you can buy at like Cabela's or something like that, they're not going to cater specifically to you. They're not going to be measured to fit you. So I would just caution against that more than anything. I mean, it all depends. Some women do have like 28-inch draws too, and can comfortably fit into a men's bow. That's one of the benefits of having the women's bow lines, is that generally speaking, and that's why they target us with them, we are going to have shorter draw lengths. Myself, I have a 24-inch draw. I think Emily is closer to 26, and we're basically the same height. It all comes down to that. Like I said, some women may fit comfortably and more comfortably into a men's bow. So don't get kind of pigeonholed into the shrink it and pink it mentality. In that sense, try everything. If it feels right for you, go with it. Personally, I've had to argue. I will say argue, strong word, but I'm going to use it. Argue with Bowtex, who wanted to, show me the pink thing over the piece of equipment that was going to fit me the best. My first time walking into an archery shop was incredibly daunting. But it's one of those things that if you go into it with an open mind and you go in there with confidence, I want a bow. And if you can just say, I don't know what I'm looking for, please help. Or go in there with a buddy, find someone. There's a lot of great like women's groups out there that will gladly give you recommendations and talk you through it. But I can't advise one bow over the other. You really just need to get it. You just need to get in there, get measured, and figure it out. That's really the only way. Jumping in feet first. As I said, don't fall for the boxed bow gimmicks and things like that. I know the sticker price of a lot of these things can be super daunting, but I promise you, when it comes to the equipment and the gear that you're going to go out there with, especially if this is something that you are like wholeheartedly going to invest in, buy once, cry once. Because I can tell you that the bow that I have now is probably going to be my bow for the next 5, 6, 7 years. I have no intention of replacing it, even if the Matthews Prima, I'm gonna say it again, Matthews Prima is on my mind quite frequently. There will be other bows. It was nice to see Hoyt put out a women's bow this year. They have been arguably way behind on that, so that was pretty cool. But yeah, get out there, see for yourselves. I would be happy to advise further on this. If you've narrowed it down and are making a selection, let me know. Any other questions? Okay, hi Lauren.
I don't know how to, I really don't use, I'm not good with technology, sorry.
Sorry, join the club.
Yeah. Well, I never really got into bow hunting just because I'm left-handed, left eye dominant, and I bought just years ago, just like a really shitty bow tech, and even that was so much more expensive than a right-handed one. I don't know if that's just like because I was living in Hawaii at the time or something, but I don't know. It was like, I don't want to pay for it and then not enjoy it as much as, using a rifle or shotgun. And, like my guns, I never buy left-handed guns. I just move my face out of the way. It's not a problem. But I don't know, is there somewhere like, or anyone who is also left-handed and maybe like I could
Can
try
I
it out?
piggyback on this?
Well, okay, so
Hi.
yeah, Emily, I also saw that Hannah's also left-handed. So I don't know if who wants to field that. Hi, Hannah.
I'm cooking dinner, so sorry.
That's fine. If you want to jump in and definitely talk about that, go ahead.
Emily, if you want to, you can.
So I am left-handed for literally everything, except for shooting my bow and shooting a shotgun. I have handguns that I shoot left-handed. Everything I do is predominantly left-handed, but I am right eye dominant. And that was one of my main concerns when I was buying a bow was, is this something I'm going to have to do left-handed? And when I actually picked up a left-handed bow, it felt so unnatural to me, because my left hand was kind of like my steadying, my sturdy, strong hand. So when you pull back on the bow, you're pulling back with your right hand, but that left hand is keeping everything steady. So for me, that was easier to adapt to than pulling back with my left hand and keeping it right hand steady. So shooting a bow is one of like maybe 2 or 3 things that I actually do right-handed. But it actually feels a lot more natural for me than doing it left-handed. I've tried both, and like I said, the right-handed just feels more natural for me just because I'm steadying with that left hand more than I am with the right hand. I've shotguns, everything like that. I switch and it's kind of hard to keep up with some people because I'm like constantly, but I would recommend maybe going to a bow shop and just maybe asking them if you can try like test firing a bow right-handed. You might have a little bit better luck with that.
Never tried with my right hand with a bow. I mean, I just never fully got into it. So maybe it is just something I need to try. I used to, when I had a shoulder injury in college, I get a lot of injuries. I train horses. But so I had to start like using a grid and stuff because I couldn't really put anything on my left shoulder for a while. So I did like, I'm definitely not right eye dominant, but I don't know, maybe if it's worth trying that just with a grid to try it out with just a right hand bow, you think?
Yeah, I actually I shoot I'm left eye dominant and I shoot right-handed. So I am like all kinds of crossed up. I had to start closing one eye when I look through the peep. So I have to actually make sure that my right eye is closed when I'm shooting, because some people can look straight down with both. I am not one of them. I saw that Torin wanted to jump in.
So I was just gonna
Oh,
say,
yeah.
it is gonna be personal for you because I'm actually right-handed. So I do everything with my right hand, but I'm left eye dominant that I actually can't see out of a scope with my right eye. Like it just, I don't know, it just doesn't work. So whatever feels more comfortable to you, but what I would suggest doing is similar to what Emily said. Just find a pro shop maybe in your area, look at reviews first and try to figure out like if people are really saying that this place has great techs, great like people that really are willing to kind of take time with you, and kind of just go in. They're going to be able to tell when you walk in by your size what will fit you, and just say, I want to try everything that's left-handed. It is going to be awkward, especially for a person who does everything else right-handed. It took me a minute to figure out how to like put the arrow in with the other hand, just because I'm not used to doing that. But I picked it up, and I don't think I would want to switch like and shoot right-handed. But that's just me. But for sure, I would say try both.
Yeah, I probably would have to at this point because I have no idea. But
Yeah, they definitely don't make it easy.
No.
Torin, did you want to jump in?
Yeah, I just wanted to throw something out there too. I'm not sure how a lot of the shops are up your way, but if the shop potentially doesn't have a large selection of left-handed bows on deck, you can always have them order it, and then you're not required to buy it. It's on them. So it's like getting a car. You're always going to test drive it before you purchase it, right? So don't let them try to back you into a corner and make you feel like you have to purchase that bow too, if it's something that doesn't feel good for you.
Right, so they'll order it and I could try it there, and if I don't like it, they'll just have it in stock for someone else.
Exactly.
Perfect.
Yeah.
And I'm in Florida for horse season, so I'm sure there's some, easier shops around here that have a bigger selection.
Can I ask right quick what part of Florida? Because I actually bought my bow in Florida.
Okay, well, I'm in Loxahatchee, right outside Wellington.
Okay, so you're on the East Coast.
Yeah.
Okay. I actually went to Adventures Archery in Florida and Tampa. If you're ever on that side, it was actually an mostly female run shop. So I had people my stature, my size, whereas on Long Island, I'm dealing with all men. So to walk in there and actually have knowledgeable females was like a shock to me. So if you're ever on that side, Adventures Archery in Tampa, really great women. They have a great selection, super helpful. Might be worth it to check them out if you're down there. Like I said, they helped me completely with my bow, and it was just an awesome experience altogether.
Oh, perfect. Yeah, I feel like everything I get, even most of my guns I get when I'm in Colorado or down here in Florida. And I don't know, it's just so much more expensive also in New York. And I'm, right on Shelter Island. It's like I go across and they're like, oh, yeah, that's how much it is. I'm like,
that New York sales tax.
Yup.
I'm definitely
The-
gonna check that out if I'm near Tampa.
There you go.
Yeah.
You guys have any more questions? Nothing is too small. Even if it's like, oh, well, where can I get this or whatever, like we're here for it.
Gear, clothing.
Oh, clothing.
So for me, I am 5 foot on a good day.
Okay.
I have a very hard time finding like proper clothing that also I'm not swimming in.
Mhm.
So I feel like I'm extremely limited, especially, the prices too sometimes for women I feel are so much higher.
Yeah, I mean that's the female tax as we
Yep.
call it. It starts from just about birth. If any of you have small children, you look at the cost of you know, little girl clothes versus little boy clothes, and it's hard. I will say that your best bet is to look for a company that does the snaps up the leg, because I am also 5'2". DSG, and this is gonna sound like another plug for them. It is, because their stuff is quality and it is adjustable for your height. I do find that like it also fits true to size in the waistband too.
Okay.
So that's something to think about. You're about to get you're getting my basically my gift, my code that I use regularly to shop from them. So the discount is no joke that you're gonna be getting, and it makes a big difference in the cost of their gear. A lot of people like She Fit, which is the Cabela's and Bass Pro line. I find that being smaller in stature, their shirts cut at a weird spot on my hips, like they expect my torso to be longer, and it's just not. So they're not a favorite for me as a smaller statured human. Trying to think of other things that I have. Under Armour does make hunting gear for women. There's a lot of politics involved with that. So I don't know. I don't know if they're necessarily for me on principle. Oh, okay. Someone's saying First Light fits them really well. Also, as a smaller statured lady. Yes, First Light is pretty expensive. What is it? Prois, Prois, also quality line for women, also pretty expensive. Really, honestly, for me, DSG is kind of like a bang for your buck situation. And I do love their stuff.
Okay.
So poke around, see what you come up with.
Yeah.
I think they have a pretty simple return policy as well. Hannah, I know, not to drag you in again, I know you've bought from them also. What's their return policy like?
So I believe that if you purchase from their website, they'll send you like a return form with instructions, and you basically have to like, it's not, I don't remember it being that simple. Yeah, I'm 5'4", so I might be the tallest one, which is very strange because I'm never the tallest person in the room. But here we are. So you like email and they send you an order number, and then you ship it back and you do pay for that shipping. However, if you purchase from Shields,
Women can talk women.
I think that it might be easier. So that's but I guess you couldn't use the coupon code then.
Oh yeah, definitely, definitely a drawback there. Yeah, see, I've never actually returned anything that I bought from DSG. Anything that I bought one thing that was too big once, and I just ended up gifting it to someone else because I was like, this is good. This is nice. Oh, Val, yeah. So Valerie saying being 5'10" and plus size, also difficult to find stuff. Yeah, I mean, and that's the thing. There is no one size fits all model for us. And there's a lot of clothing options. It's going to be the same across the board. If you have a hard time finding jeans that fit, you're probably going to have a hard time finding camo that fits. And that's why I think talks like this are really important in that sense, because you get to learn what works for people who are similarly statured to you. What I do like about DSG again is the snaps up the side. So their pants actually do run a little long. I think I'm like 2 snaps or something on their pants usually. So I mean that's something to consider.
And Valerie, DSG goes, well, as far as I know from the women's like hunting clothing brands that are out there, DSG is the only one that has sizes extended to 5XL. So other brands will have 2XL, but DSG definitely goes above and beyond.
Yes,
and
they
extra small too,
Mhm.
for like tiny petite. So it's very inclusive.
I was gonna say, yeah, they're probably the most size inclusive line of clothing that I've encountered. Do you guys
They're
have
also
any?
hella warm.
What's hell? They are really
They're
warm.
hella
Yeah.
warm, not gonna lie.
Yeah. I personally wear the ripstop camo for turkey season. The Bexley, when you guys look on the website, I love it. It's also amazing for early season hunting too. When it's really, really warm up here, we can get up to like 85 degrees. So it's cool, and they also have a lot of really great warm gear. I know Heather really with her ice fishing, the drop seat has been awesome. I don't know if you want to say anything about that, Heather. I'm kind of putting you on the spot.
I recall it mine.
It definitely has. We weren't talking about fishing, so I let you do the talking. But no, it's definitely great. I was gonna say too, the snaps on the bottom, being that again I'm short, I've always had the issue of dragging my pants on the floor and it getting ripped up and everything. And for ice fishing, it definitely helps out because my feet are dragging all over the place, and I love the snaps. And it's really comfortable. As far as I know, with the measurements too, when they ask you like waist size and hip size, it's true to size. It's definitely warm. I don't have to put anything underneath. I've been super warm. So
Okay.
I mean,
yeah.
I'll definitely be looking to get some hunting gear from them too.
Yeah. And that's another thing. Yeah. The true to size factor for sure. With DSG is very important. And the quality, it does hold up. Any other questions? Like we said, nothing is too small. My parents have left the chat, so.
I guess this is just quick. You said this is recorded, so we can certain things later. If we have a question, you could just go back and tell us what actually happened.
Yeah. Yeah. So we are going to be posting this on YouTube. So and we are going to be linking a lot of the things that I talked about as far as gear and stuff that I will use in the field, things like that. You guys are going to be getting an email about that. But yeah, this will be posted. So if you didn't take notes, it's okay. Open book test.
I'm technically working night shifts, so I got to go to night checks throughout tonight. But so other, other seminars or stuff, just because I do work just weird hours with the horses and stuff. I don't know if that's going to be like a normal, like you guys will normally record it.
I don't know, Torin, is that normal? It's my first one.
Yeah, they'll all be recorded unless somebody has an issue with the recording. And then what we'll do is we'll actually chop them up into segments. That way you don't have to sift through a 2-hour long session to potentially get to a highlight or something that you're looking for.
Oh, that's perfect. Just because I need all this information, but I realistically can't be on every call like this long and stuff all the time.
Yeah, our brains like naturally check out at about a half an hour as well. So the fact that you guys are still sitting here 2 hours later, I'm impressed.
Oh my God, it
Yeah. Anything else that I might be able to clarify? Anything that I talked about that maybe I didn't present with enough clarity, as I know I breezed through a lot. But seriously, anything. I see Emily has unmuted herself.
Stop putting me on the spot.
You unmuted yourself.
Can you take like maybe a photo or something of you with the backpack on so we could see how it fits? And can you like include that with like the links to all your little happy products?
Of course.
Because I use just a crappy Field and Stream backpack that's like $5. So I'm kind of curious to see how that fits for on an actual like female figure rather than, buying a men's backpack, which has been all that I've been stuck with for eternity. So if you can, I guess, model that would be awesome.
Sure. Yeah, that's something that I can definitely do. I have just made a note of that. Okay. Cool. Torin just asked if there's any other topics that we would like to see in the future. You guys can shout them out. You can type them into the chat. We're here to do this, to teach and help you as best we can.
Tracking, stand placement, for sure.
Okay. So when you say
Those are-
tracking, you mean after the shot?
Yeah, like after the shot, because like I am a very patient person until after I shoot a deer, and then I become the most impatient person in the world. So just ways to kind of like keep your cool in the stand, and I don't want to say kill time, but how to bridge the gap in between shooting and getting down. And just like helpful hints, wind placement, how that, factors into where you're sitting, how you're tracking, all that fun stuff.
So what I'm hearing is you want me to channel my inner therapist and do some like mindfulness techniques in the tree.
Yes.
To kind of
Yes.
that's my full-time gig, guys. So I will definitely look into some stuff like that. Also, that can help with target panic and things like that.
Yes, because I've had target panic in the past.
Yes, well, your thumb release fixed that quite nicely.
It did.
Anything else that we can think of?
I mean, I took seasons off. I probably went 2 years now about 2 years without hunting. So also like with injuries and stuff and retraining my eyes, I don't know, just little helpful techniques for kind of getting, I hate to say it, but I need a little better of a shot as I've been out of it. Not even a target shot, but more like, like the nerve when I'm actually hunting of like, am I gonna make this, So like even just little techniques, if y'all have any, I'll take, because it's been a rough couple years.
Gotcha. So like from a confidence standpoint, building that back up and like maybe even some little like exercises that you can do. Okay.
Kind of like anything to do with anything like that. I just, it's just been too long since I've hunted, especially alone,
Mhm.
that I really need to, have that confidence and know that like, even before I go out there that, oh, I've made that shot before, I can do it again. But,
Yeah.
you
Yeah, just like mechanics and stuff and like in the moment. Yeah, one of the things that works for me is that I have certain like points where I know that when I pull back, my thumb is here, or like little I have like 3 little steps that I take before I shoot. So maybe learning what those are for you and keeping them consistent, because archery comes down to muscle memory, really building that consistency and acknowledging what that is for you, because
Well,
everyone's like points are different.
For me, I really have not bow hunted much at all, unless I was just kind of sitting there watching in another tree stand, watching someone else. I'm just like, okay, So for me, that's something I actually need to like learn and see
Okay.
if I'm right or left-handed. So that's something more in person. But yeah, just that whole eye and really being able to target right again, because it's just been so long for me.
Okay. Yeah. I hear that. We got a lot of good options coming in the chat. Tips for scouting public land, butchering and field dressing. Yes. Getting started with the bow. Say more on that, Heather. What do you mean? If you want to type it into getting started with the bow, because that's important. How to jump into that and bridge that gap.
It's gonna take me too long to type or just
Okay.
figure it out. Basically just meaning like when you purchase or whichever one you use, like how to, I would say like how to get started, like what's important to know about the bow, like what you need to look for, if there's any like safety issues or safety features that you have to look out for, those kind of things. Just because you don't want to just jump into something and be like, okay, I got it.
Yeah. I'm gonna give you one of those because it's probably the most important one. But obviously it's a good topic for the future for sure. Your bow, the arrow projects off the bow via kinetic energy. So when you draw back, it's all latent energy, it's stored. When you release, it's basically physics, right? Which I know I said basically physics, that's funny. But when you shoot an arrow, all of that latent energy is transferred into the arrow, which pushes the arrow forward. If you draw back that bow without an arrow on the string and you let go of of the string with no arrow knocked, all of the latent energy goes into the string, which goes into your bow and can cause irreparable damage to your bow and to the string. That's called dry firing. So you never want to pull back the string unless you have an arrow knocked and can send that energy into something. So that's probably the number one safety thing I can say regarding getting started with a bow right now. Never pull back that string unless you have an arrow knocked, or you're gonna have a bad time.
Okay.
I definitely second the field dressing and
Okay.
butcher. Just because, again, it's been so long for me. I really have no confidence anymore doing anything like that on my own, you know? But
Okay.
just
Yeah.
to learn.
Yes. Absolutely. Any other topics? I think we've uncovered a lot of potential things for the future. And what's cool about this is some of it's going to be a learning experience for me too. You know, I went through a lot of what I knew today, but there are some things on this list that personally I could stand to get better at. So as a community, I appreciate you ladies pushing me to do better and be better too, because that's really what this is all about. Any final thoughts? It's getting to be past my bedtime. I don't know about you guys.
I have to go back to work. This was great though. Thank you. I'm gonna head out though.
All right.
Thank you.
And we are going to send the link. I will take a picture with the backpack on, probably not tonight because my photographer has gone to sleep. And I'll get you guys the links to some of the things that I talked about that I use. And thank you for helping us brainstorm how to better help you.